Hey, Randy, how are you?
I'm fantastic, Eric. How are you?
Randy and I are meeting for the first time. We have spent the last 10 minutes or so freestyling in our conversation about random things. He's probably been thinking to himself, why are we talking about that TV show? What TV show? I already forgot. There was a TV
It,
show that I
it was a
mentioned to you.
it was a Netflix thing. That's the USA for Africa. We are the world. Something like that.
Oh,
We are the
yes.
Yeah.
I made reference to a year, and then that got me on the topic of the We Are the World documentary on Netflix. And so that's what we were talking about, which is not of interest to the listener. So we're going to move on. Randy, you are the president of Salon Interactive. Is that you're right? Are you CEO, president? You're not the founder, correct?
Correct. President
Okay.
is the correct title. Yep. President of Salon Interactive. We do have a founder and CEO, Jim Bauer.
Okay.
Um, and yep, I'm responsible for day-to-day operations and partnerships and sales and really just the daily running of the company.
Yeah.
And we have an incredible team that's remote across the US and some other countries actually as well. And very excited to about some advancements and things we've been doing. And yeah, excited to
Very
be
good.
here.
We're going to get into all that. But before we do that, we're going to digress again. And we're going to talk about the very good idea that you and I brainstormed together, which had something to do with ailing backs. And here we are
Mhm.
talking to a community of beauty professionals, many of whom stand behind a chair all day. And they get carpal tunnel and their back hurts and their feet hurt and all this kind of stuff. And Randy and I were spitballing and we came up with this very good idea that I think somebody should run with. And I'm just going to throw it out there and let somebody run with it. Maybe 2 years from now, we'll see it out on Amazon. But what if someone created a harness attached to the ceiling that a somebody standing at a desk in front of a computer or a hairdresser can hang in while they did their work? Wouldn't that be good for the back?
Love it. I think we said Mission Impossible style. You hang, you swing. It's actually a haircut and a show.
Haircut a show. I like how
Haircut and a show.
I just threw that out to Randy to see what he was going to do with it, and there
We're
you go.
ideating. Yeah.
Yes, you're ideating. Okay, let's move on to the topic at hand, and that is the beauty industry. So, how did you get into this industry in the first place, Randy?
Yes, I'm going to give you the shorter version because I believe that's more appropriate for now. I am an engineer by trade. I'm actually engineer trained in it's mechanical engineering with a focus on sustainable energy systems. So
So hold on,
things like
that has
Mhm.
something to do with the harness off the ceiling, because we would
Yep,
need an engineer
anchor
to
points.
design such a thing.
We need a stamp. Yes. Um, the background there is really that I fell into this. An old friend of mine that I'd known for years reached out. He and his wife had started a barbershop. We, through a series of conversations and crazy choices, chose to launch a software company together. Three of us founded it, and that company ended up is Spruce Labs is the name of it. It was back in 2016, and this every Ulta Beauty in the country has our software in it now that they are now managing themselves. So we exited that company at the end of 2019. And through that, I had built some relationships, obviously being at trade shows and getting to know others who are players in this industry and competitors. One of those competitors was a gentleman named Jim Bauer at a company called Rosie Salon Software that we affectionately referred to our relationship as coopetition because we were very cooperative. There was tons of synergy in wanting to work together and bring in the best parts of different softwares and build an ecosystem for salons that was always just elevating them rather than forcing them to shift between one or the other and pick or choose and not be able to get all the advantages. And so it was a natural for me to continue my time in the beauty industry. And Jim had reached out and said, "Hey, I've got this Salon Interactive company I've gotten going." He had just sold Rosie.
Pause.
Um, yep,
Spruce Labs, was it, you said it was a competition with Rosie. So was it a booking software, point of sale, inventory management, blah, blah, blah?
correct. It did not have a point of sale component. It was not facilitating. payments, not a payments processor, but it was everything else. So booking, scheduling, team management, recommendations. We called ourselves an experience platform. So it was all about the physical space and experience with the client, the guest, as we like to refer to them. So it was alerting me that Eric is walking through the door and Eric has an appointment, booked with Sally, and Sally's in the back having lunch, but Sally just got notified that Eric walked through the door. So instead of you standing around or trying, to find that moment to figure out who you're with, and the whole team inside the shop should be getting notified of everything that's happening. But we like to use humans to deliver that information to each other. So instead of you getting notification on your phone, we wanted a human being to walk up to you and go, Eric, welcome back, man. How you doing? Hey, Sally's in the back having lunch. She'll be right out with you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because for us, it was all about, people, you can give someone a subpar haircut once and they'll still come back to you. But if you make them feel uncomfortable or provide a bad experience while they're there, they're not going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us, that, the experience truly drove everything we did. And that was really cool. That was my first foray into the beauty industry, was doing that.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Okay, so you
Mm-hmm.
did Spruce Labs. It
Yeah.
got purchased by Ulta. And then Salon Interactive, Jim Bauer, you were talking about that. Jim Bauer is coming from Rosie, you said. And so Jim came to you and said, hey, there's this Salon Interactive thing.
Yep. Yeah, Jim had originally built Salon Interactive in parallel with Rosie while he was managing the company. He'd started building it. And he kept running into issues with Salon Interactive in that he realized that being attached to only one point of sale booking scheduling platform was going to always really limit the ability for Salon Interactive to be what it needed to be, which was really a cross industry network, right? An ecosystem that was bringing together all these different players. And anytime you have one that's competitive with all the others, it creates that, fear. People don't want to link up with you and give you and support you. So, I think very wisely, he completely separated himself from Rosie and sold the company in 2019 to focus on Salon Interactive. And that's early 2020s when I joined and we launched. We had already had distributors on the platform that were operating and working really kind of as like beta and early users. And then, really with a solid launch in January of 2020, and 3 months later, salons were being closed all over the country, and Salon Interactive was one of the only ways for them to continue to make any revenue. And so we saw unbelievable growth and panic and, people coming on, and we were running around with our hair on fire trying to serve, to help and try to keep people going. Our platform, amazingly stayed up. We had to change payments processors in the middle of that because they were holding our money because they thought we were, running a scam, because suddenly so much money was changing hands so quickly that they were like, we're flagging you as like something's going on here. But ultimately we made it through that. And, it was one of the very important moments to us. It was that we were able to help a lot of salons make it through, that time period.
Yeah. You were one of the businesses that did well during the pandemic, and lots of e-commerce did well during the pandemic. So that was good. Okay. So why don't you explain what Salon Interactive does?
Yeah. So Salon Interactives, we like to describe ourselves as a mission-driven for-profit company. So what that means ultimately is we are in this industry to be a improver of business outcomes for salons, spas, barbershops, anybody on that front line. And the way we do that is through really 4 different product sets that we have in the platform. The focus is on professional products. We believe it's wildly important to keep that revenue retail in this industry. What has happened over the last 20 plus years is that revenue has significantly been shifting to other places like Amazon, big box retailers that don't support the salon, places like Target. You can buy products pretty much anywhere, and the beauty professional has really lost on that front. And we're trying to wave a flag and say, hey, this isn't okay, and you shouldn't be okay with it. We're not okay with it. Let's help you get that back. One of the ways we do that is by offering them a free e-commerce site so they can compete with the Amazons or the Ultas or the Targets, right? People have gotten so used to buying online, but do we really expect that someone who's trying to run their own salon or in a suite to go out and set up their own e-commerce site and do all those things, where often that's a lot of extra work and they're already working pretty incredible hours in many cases. So we wanted to do something like that. So we offer a free online store for anyone who's working with one of our distributors on the platform. We also allow them to bring the products that they would use in their back bar. They can order that through us as well, through most of our distributors. And then we have some really very tailored beauty industry specific marketing tools that are set up to automate things like reach out to your client when it's their birthday, send them a birthday reminder. We can brand it specifically for your salon, and everything needs to feel like it's coming from the hairdresser. So Salon Interactive really tries to stay out of the relationship. So we're never getting in between the client and the beauty professional. We're trying to lift that relationship up rather than, become a blocker for it.
So I'm following along, and I was familiar with Salon Interactive before, but I'm thinking about this from the standpoint of the listener. Can a client go to the Salon Interactive website without a relationship with a hairstylist who has a Salon Interactive? I was about to say website because they can, like you said, they can have their own. But can a client go directly and buy directly from Salon Interactive?
No, there is no sale that happens on our platform that is not directly attributed to a salon and beauty professional. So we're not in the business of making sales to end consumer. It's always on behalf of a beauty professional.
All right. So let's say Sally Hairdresser works in a traditional salon, and that salon sells product. Sally gets a commission from the product that the salons that Sally's hairdressers buy from the salon. The salon is not going to want Sally to have a Salon Interactive relationship because the salon wants Sally's clients to buy products from the salon, right? So the salon makes their 50% profit minus, or 50% margin minus the whatever she paid, whatever the salon pays to Sally, call it 5 or 10% or something like that, right? I mean, has this been an issue for you guys? That traditional salons don't like you?
It's been a question. It's never been an issue from our perspective because there's a very clear solution. Our platform was built for this specifically as well. And the way it should work is that the salon themselves should be setting up a Salon Interactive account. Sally and all of her coworkers can be added to that account. So they themselves have access to sending a product recommendation, sharing the link to the salon's e-commerce site to their clients. And the goal is to get all those clients who are today walking out of the salon without buying anything, because historically that's at least 80% of clients. When I say historically, I mean right now. That's on average. We're seeing about 80% of clients do not buy retail from even salons that are doing a pretty good job of retailing. And those are the ones we're after, right? So Sally should be a part of a team that's approaching this as, let's go and send those people recommendations so that they buy from our online store. Let's make sure they know that they're supporting us, keeping their dollars local, instead of, supporting, Jeff Bezos and his next mission to space, whichever Blue Origin trip he's on next. But ultimately, we want to keep that money going to, little Johnny's T-ball team, local, to someone that you know.
Sorry,
there's a lot to unpack there.
The little Johnny T-ball team. I find that really funny, and I'm sure you've said that. You've said that before.
I think that's the first time I've ever said that. I'm not joking.
I want to say I've said Sally a number of times as just general hairdresser name. So even though I don't think I know. Oh, I do know a couple Sallys. Anyway, okay. So let's talk about the money that goes to little Johnny or Tommy's T-ball team. So what is the commission? Well, okay. First, let's talk about what's the commission to the hairdresser. Let's just say independent hairdresser who does not want to retail. They don't work at a Salon Republic where we distribute the product to them right there in the salon. It's hard for them. They don't want to do it. They don't want to go buy wholesale. They don't want to sell retail. Fine. So they have a website with Salon Interactive. They sell, one of their clients buys a bottle of $20 shampoo. What do they get from that $20?
From a $20 sale, we're going to deposit $5 the next Friday in their account. They're getting 25%.
Okay, they get 25%. So it's about half of what they would get if they were to retail in person to their client. But of course, you have to make money and shipping and all that expenses. So, I get it. But Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to comment to that. They get half as much as they would get if you factor no cost into retailing, which we
Yes.
know from a business standpoint is not an acceptable like business or accounting practice. There are costs associated with carrying the retail in. It might not, again, it's legitimate though, right? The opportunity cost of the money sitting on the shelf if they're retailing, the cost of stocking it, the time and energy. I just want to call out that at the Salon Interactive level, when that happens, there is zero risk to the salon or the hairdresser from a monetary standpoint because they're getting that 25% for $0 investment outside of the time they put in to set up a store. Just as
Okay.
a, yeah.
I mean, it's small. I mean, if somebody puts out a couple $100 or whatever for a product and it turns over every 2 months, I mean, the opportunity
Hmm.
cost of that $200 is not a great deal amount of money, but I understand.
Hmm.
And yes, there's time. Although if you work at Salon Republic, you walk down the hall, you buy it from the shoe.
Got it
There's
right
not a
there.
lot of
Yeah.
time. Or of
Yeah.
course, you can buy from any other distributor online and have it shipped to you, and blah blah blah.
Hmm.
So it's become a lot more convenient. And let me just take a moment to talk about how amazing it is that hairdressers have so many amazing options for getting products and selling those to their clients, a whole lot more than when I got into the business 24 years ago in my early 20s. So let's just take a moment to acknowledge that. That's
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
So-
Okay, so here we are. And so they get 25%. Now, you also mentioned when I challenged you with the salons hate you question, traditional salons hate you question. What's in it for the salon? You said that the salon should have all of their hairdressers set up accounts for themselves. And why would the salon want to do that versus selling the $20 bottle of shampoo and putting $10 into the cash register, minus maybe a dollar to Sally for commission on selling the $10 bottle of shampoo? So what is in it for the salon to introduce you, essentially a competitive service, into their business relationships?
Yeah. So we don't ever see it as competitive. And the reason being that is I'll walk through the logic. First of all, the salon, when I said we have a solution for that, there's only one bank account associated to the store. So the salon would actually be getting that money deposited to them. And they're getting a report that they can pull anytime they log in that's showing the performance of each hairdresser that's associated to their account. So it's not that each one is getting their own separate account and that's competitive and the team is taking all of the commission, the 25%. The salon themselves is getting it and a report. So they can choose if they have a standard 10% off of their in-salon retail, they can actually match that perfectly with ours so that the hairdresser has the exact same incentive. The goal should be to get the client the proper home care, right? Our mission is that you haven't finished the service until the client's getting the proper home care so they can recreate the look at home. When 80% of people are walking out of your salon without buying the proper home care and they're going to go to Walgreens or even worse, order off of Amazon and get some knockoff fake product, because that's what's happening. That is what we're combating. And we are on the same team as far as that we're concerned. And we have most of our salons, well, obviously the ones who are using us believe the same. There might be some out there that don't, but that's truly our mission, is to get the right products in the hands of the clients to make everybody happier. And so the salon is getting that money. They're commissioning to their salons. We have tens of thousands of salons using this that are happy. I mean, they're making money. They're getting sales from those people who historically they have never gotten a dollar of retail from. They might be happily getting service. And then the additional reason of why they would do it, many salons don't have an issue stocking retail, but there's only a limit to that, right? How many SKUs does a Redken have? Or, so they might carry the top 15 or 20 SKUs on the shelf, but there's a lot more than that. And so they might have a client who's going, hey, I'd like to buy this thing. Well, now they don't have to send them down the road to Ulta or to Jeff Bezos. They can send them to their own online store where it's fulfilled. It's guaranteed to be real. It's coming straight from the same distributor that's putting those products on their shelf. They're getting credit for it. Their salesperson at their distributor is getting credit for it. We are trying to elevate everyone in the supply chain and give actual see-through rather than, fragmenting the market further, because it's already a very fragmented market.
Okay, so that was my next question. When, let's say, Sally Hairdresser, I'll continue with that example,
hmm
What can she put certain things, or does she have to put certain products in her store, or is it all the products that are in the store already?
So the way that our platform works currently is the relationship with the distributor needs to be there. And then with that distributor, they have certain brands that distributor carries. So when they select a distributor and they select the brand, they get every single retail
They is
product.
Sally.
When Sally sets up and selects, let's say, distributor A and they have products B, C, D, and E. When those all get selected, the entire product line that's retail focused, we're never obviously putting any professional products in a retail store, but all of those make it onto the store. So they can't pick and choose and say, I only want to carry these three product lines. Today, they select the brand. As long as they have permission to sell that brand, all of them go in. We do work with distributors directly, and our platform automatically is following all territory restrictions, diversion rights, everything. So if a brand has a requirement for the salon to, let's say they need a contract on file to sell that product, we have a lookup to say, does the salon have it? Yes, then they can add it. If they don't have it, they can request it and go through to get that added to their store. But we are following all the same rules that someone who has a physical space is doing, if not more.
Got it. Okay. So even if a salon is doing a decent job selling products, they can only carry 200 SKUs, let's say, not 800. Let's say the total clientele of the salon might, in a year's time, want to purchase at any given moment during that year 800 SKUs. They can only carry 200, and then the balance is available on the Salon Interactive site. And that's even more so for an individual person.
Yeah, as you can imagine, the individual, Sally in Salon Republic
Yep.
is not carrying 200 SKUs. She's probably carrying 3 or 10, right?
Well,
Well, yeah,
I
I guess
mean,
your
we're a little
retail situation,
different, right?
that is
Because
true, right?
we have about 1,000 SKUs, more than a
Yeah,
thousand SKUs. We carry about 80 something brands. So
right.
unique in the case of
Right,
Salon
maybe
Republic. But
a different suite, right? One that's not Salon Republic would be facing that doesn't have the retail available to them like they do at Salon Republic. That would make sense.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And
So very interesting. Sorry, go ahead, Randy.
I just want to really clarify that we do not, our value prop is not that you can carry extra SKUs. That is value that's added, but it truly is meeting the clients where they're shopping today, which is increasingly online. And a lot of them are walking out the door without buying anything. And so really that is our target. It's get those people who are walking away from you where you're getting zero retail dollars, bring some of that back into the salon.
The salon is going to say, and of course, my job as host of this is to be devil's advocate, right? The salon is going to say, well, if they buy the product on Salon Interactive in between appointments, when they're not in my salon, I'm going to get 15%. That's 25% minus the 10% that my hairstylist Sally gets. And then I, as the salon owner, keep 15% instead of the 40% that I would get if the client waited until their next appointment to buy the product. I'm leaving something on the table, the salon owner is going to say. Now, you've already addressed this, and we don't need to go into it again. You're just saying client behavior is such that 80% of clients are walking out of the door without buying something. So,
And we have to
yeah,
ask, does that person wait to buy from the salon on their next visit, or do they go buy from Amazon or Ulta?
yeah,
Do you
right.
skip showers without your soap because you haven't gone to the salon yet? I mean, like truly, it's
Yep.
unlikely and I get it. It's logical. I never ever want them to feel like their concerns are I appreciate the devil's advocacy because without talking about that, we can't break through the logic because initially that might be the reaction. The reality is 25% of something is a lot more than 100% or 50% of nothing.
Right. You're talking
And
about getting the incremental purchases,
and
not necessarily competing on the 20% who do
correct.
buy something in the store.
Never, never.
And
Yeah,
and
we
I
see
don't
an
know if that's
increase.
Okay, interesting. Well,
We have a lot of data, right? So we actually have some of our integrations show that when Salon Interactive gets implemented, there is not a decrease at all of in-salon retail. In fact, the opposite. We believe that's because now there's more likely to be a conversation around retail that maybe wasn't happening as much before. You're talking about your online store, maybe a little bit. Now the person goes, you know what, I actually do need product. I'll just buy it right here instead of leaving and buying it somewhere else like they historically had done. So we actually believe we're helping in-salon retail, not cannibalizing it or competing with it. So it's
yeah,
all good for the salon, truly.
yeah, I could see how that could take place. If the client became used to buying from the salon. It's very interesting to consider the whole thing while the transition, from brick and mortar to e-commerce has happened, from employment-based salons to independent salons has happened, and then as so many within the beauty industry, as independents, the range of willingness to retail is so vast. I mean, at SR, we've got some people who just absolutely crush with retail. They pay all their expenses plus with what they retail. We have some people who just don't want to bother with it. And of course, they can do whatever they want. We don't mind. We want to facilitate whatever they want to do. But the bottom line is, being an independent allows you to make those decisions on your own. So it is very interesting. Back to the comment about, isn't it cool how many options there are in the beauty industry to do the things that your clients want?
Yeah, I think it's pretty special, and I think everyone's coming to grips with the fact that we want what we want, and there's very few beauty professionals out there that are only one distributor or only one brand. A lot of them want things from different places, and they want options. We're a world of convenience and information these days, and so being able to service that and lift them up rather than just saying, you know what, go down the street to someone else because I can't be bothered, like you mentioned. How many people have just given up? I don't think they've given up because they don't want it. I think they've given up due to frustration and a lack of support from us, the industry partners that really need to be the ones supporting and helping.
Let's talk about, since you have a high altitude view of product sales in the industry, what product sale trends are you seeing? Let's call it last 12, 24 months.
I would probably be remiss to pretend to have any sort of expertise about a trend in actual products because I let people who are smarter than me and have more background on the actual hairdressing side or have stood behind a chair before understand that better. What I would say is we have continued to see an increase in online sales. We've seen an increase in the desire for things like subscriptions, especially among certain demographics, men being one of them, that people like to get what they get, right? If someone feels really confident and likes a product, they love to set that on auto order and never think about it again. So things like that are very interesting and also very exciting in my mind for the beauty industry, because that's pretty lovely to have that conversation once, lock someone into the right products, the proper home care, and never worry that they're using something that they bought off of Amazon again. So that, those are the types of things that get me excited and that we're trying to find new ways to help support the beauty industry with.
Okay. Bonders. This is always a somewhat interesting and occasionally controversial conversation because we had this little company called Olaplex, which became a very, very large company, went public, and now has shrunk back down a little bit. Still a big company, but they've been struggling recently, and then they all of a sudden got a competitor called K18, and I'm ignoring to some degree like the 847 other brands who have put out Bonder SKUs with varying kind of efficacy. Do you guys sell Bonders?
We do. We actually have both Olaplex and K18 as well as others on the platform.
And what are you seeing in sales trends there?
They do well. We actually, I would say they're both doing well, like in the top 10% of brands that we see in performance. Lots of
Are
people
people?
looking for it. Lots of concern recently around. I've been hearing things in forums and seeing stuff about fake product being bought off of places like eBay. Apparently, people buy hair care products on eBay. I was unaware of that initially. But yeah, we have definitely seen the strength of those.
I think when you steal hair product, there's only a few places where you could sell it,
Resell models.
and I imagine
Elmer's glue.
eBay is
I,
one of those few places.
if we have a moment for a story, I have a wild story for you.
Please.
So we've had, of course, we're an online store. People can set up stores, and we have had our fair share of people who've tried to take advantage of that through, being a scammer or just not being a hairdresser and trying to like make a quick buck. We had a store that launched, and we have systems built in that alert us to things, but we had a store that got started that just blew up overnight, right? Started and immediately was like our top performer, which is a big red flag. Or just the most exciting day ever, right? At first I'm going, woo, like, wow. Well, as soon as I looked at it, I was like, something is very weird here. Like, this doesn't make any sense. All Olaplex and
Oh, it's
all
diversion.
weird names. No, it gets better. So I knew something was wrong and I couldn't figure out what it was. I knew it was wrong. So I did the responsible thing and spent all night going through every single client order, every single client, and started seeing super weird patterns in emails and stuff where it was like the same formatting, even though they were different. So I realized this is just a bot that's generating, something's purchasing and generating. Different credit cards being used too, which is very strange. So I go through, I find out that in fact, this is a scammer who has an eBay store and he sells to people on eBay and then comes and then buys the product from us and ships it to the person who bought it from his eBay store, but uses a stolen credit card.
Whoa.
So he's using our store legitimately outside of the
Got
fact
it.
that, right, but shipping all, and so I'm like calling these clients because I have their info because he wanted to make sure if the product was getting delivered, we actually called. So I reach out to this and I'm talking to this lady. She's a real estate agent that's living in like a multi-million-dollar home. And I'm going, you bought Olaplex off of eBay? Why? It's cheaper, is what she told me. It was
Yeah.
cheaper.
Sure. So I
So
imagine.
there you go.
Yeah.
That's
She
one of the
she say she saves a couple bucks per number three.
save
So
some.
wait a second. Okay, so he was buying. So his big margin is created by the fact that he's using a stolen credit card,
He's not
right?
paying for the
Because
product.
he's not actually paying for the product,
Nothing.
and he's able to sell it for less on eBay. So instead of let's call it $27, which would be the retail price of like a number
Yeah.
three,
Something for like 20.
he sells it for 20 or
Yeah.
whatever, and the real estate agent feels like
And he's got
good
mad
enough.
5-star reviews, right?
Oh,
Because
of course,
they're getting it.
reviews.
She's happy. She just paid $20 for the only person who's losing is the person whose credit card was stolen. And most of them are, but mainly it was us. We got screwed because, of course, everyone starts pulling their money back.
Because
And
the
we're out the product. Yeah,
people whose credit cards were
the
being
stolen
used,
cards. Yes.
right? So then you were out the money.
So it was us that
Really you
got
were
hurt.
out the product minus
And the
all the
money.
time and the
And the money because they pull the money back. They do a
right.
chargeback, which also hurts our account, which also
They
makes
do a
that, you know what I mean?
chargeback. Yeah,
10,
right.
like it just, we were the ones who got screwed there, 100%.
Right.
So
Very funny. So
interesting. Yeah, very funny.
typically at the end of one of our episodes, I ask for
Mhm.
a hair horror story. So we've already done it. You just naturally,
That's
you
the hair horse story.
organically shared with us a distribution, beauty product distribution horror story. So thank you
Yes.
very much for that. That's how intuitive you are.
And I hope that any hairdressers that listen to this, just tell your clients not to buy stuff on eBay. Specifically
Right.
mention that. It's
Right.
not a good place to buy products.
In all the years that I've been in this business, I've been asked countless times. I get asked probably every 60 days. Someone hits me up. Sometimes it's somebody I know, and they want to buy a whole lot of something for diversion. Essentially, is that's what feeds the diversion economy. And
Right.
in some cases, it gets shipped off to another country. In some cases, it ends up in Rite Aid or whatever. Now, well, I said that as if I sell the product, and we've
Yeah,
never actually
you
done
don't do
that.
that, right?
Even when we had one location, I didn't do it, and I was asked. But so I'm somewhat proud of that. However, if I did sell, and those people who do buy, with distributor margins or wholesale margins and then sell to a diverter, those products end up in places like, those illegitimate channels like a Rite Aid or a
Walgreens,
CVS,
random, yeah.
Walgreens. Yeah. So you see Kerastase and all that
Yeah,
in those places still.
I found some Kevin Murphy in there once, and I sent a picture to a contact there and was like, "Really?"
Yeah.
They weren't
Yeah.
impressed.
They charge a lot of
Yeah.
money. I mean, it's not necessarily discounted in
No.
the times that I've actually spent the time to price check. When I see the products
Yeah.
in there. But Kerastase is a great example because it's just so massively diverted, and I think it just crushed the brand, amongst other things. But all right, anything else? Any other trends that the listeners might be interested about that you're seeing in the industry? And any new types of products that are coming out? What price increases? I mean, I know that the big product manufacturers, they increase their prices pretty regularly. Anything.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I have anything that would be valuable on specifically like a trend or something I see happening or that's about to happen. I think more so it's probably that we see salons challenged with keeping and distributors in some cases keeping up with the product information itself, the
Mm.
price. I think it's very common that in talk now that I'm working much more closely with brands, we'll see a pretty big discrepancy on what the brand recommended MSRP is versus what the salon is actually selling it for.
Hmm.
And you could trace it directly back to several years ago was the last was the price increase from where they're at, and they just haven't changed their prices. And so, to me, one thing we can try to do is help the beauty industry understand that it's natural that prices increase. We don't love it. Nobody's out there cheering, including the brands. They don't, that's not like they're suddenly making more. But the point is if you don't, you're actually losing. And so it's a matter of keeping up. And it's like doing your taxes. Nobody wants to go through and edit your inventory. It's probably, I'm going to go out on a limb, having not been a hairdresser, and guess it's probably one of the least favorite jobs of anybody to go into the system and update and keep product information up to date and all that. So that is something that I'm seeing though that's actually hurting people maybe in more ways than they realize. In that, even if they're a dollar or two under, what it should be, that adds up over time, and it just overall, it's like why not keep yourself right on the forefront? So those are the things
Yeah.
that we hope we can help with, but also it's just informing. I think some people just forget about it because why would they be thinking about that when they've got all these other important things that they're doing?
Yeah. Well, that's pretty good stuff. I appreciate all the information. It's very interesting to hear your story and what you guys are doing. And I wish you all the best.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're excited to be in this industry, and we're excited to see all the cool stuff that's going on. It's been fun to watch the growth of Salon Republic. I mean, I'm pretty excited to see where you guys go next. So congratulations too on your success because that's been really fun to watch.
Thank you.